everybody, welcome. This is the Double Cup of Bald show. Actually, no, this is Don't Muddle Monday. Welcome, everybody. As you notice, we do not have Ryan with us tonight. We have a special guest. He's another fellow bald man, and his name is Steve. How you doing, Steve?
Going. I am fantastic, Joseph. How are you?
I'm better than I deserve, as Dave Ramsey would say. But welcome, everybody. This is a show, Don't Muddle Monday. It's a show where we handle any topics or challenges, issues, or challenges you might be facing in your life. Feel free to just post them in the chat. You can send us, there's the link. Princess posted the link there, bss.studio. You can send us an email at dww@bss.studio. Or you can find myself or Princess or Ryan or Senna on Discord, and you can post a topic there. And yeah, we're not professional therapists, counselors, or police officers, or lawyers, or doctors, or football players, or anything like that. We just want to be your friend. We want to help in any way we possibly can, offer some love and encouragement and support, and maybe some perspective along the way. So you can go through whatever you might be facing with a bit more fortitude. We know you're probably smart enough to figure a lot of this out on your own. However, it just helps sometimes to have an outside pair of eyeballs looking at a situation. So that way, we get caught up in the minutia. At least I do all the time. It always helps to have somebody outside the situation looking at it and saying, "Oh, did you notice this thing over here?" I'm like, "No, I'm looking at this." And they're like, "Oh, well, look at this over here." And then that's it. So welcome, everybody. As you see, as I said before, Ryan's not here tonight. He's sick. He could use all of our prayers and good feelings and warm thoughts sent across the waves to Ryan. So we send our love to Ryan. And it's a really exciting night because we get to have Steve for the first time on a YouTube stream. A big round of applesauce for Steve.
Well, thank you. I love applesauce, Joe.
Yeah, man. He's been one of my main partners in music for many, many years. If you've been at the Double Cup of Joe show, you have heard his guitar playing. He played the lead guitar parts on Grow. He played the guitar solo on the outro music for Double Cup of Joe show, that song, Message to Pop Culture. He played all the lead guitar parts for that. Guy's just an outstanding guitarist. He has an outstanding guitar collection. That's behind him. That's really only about 1/10 of his guitar collection, probably.
About right.
What'd you say?
I ran out of guitar wall hangers. I couldn't find them in the storage unit.
Yeah, right on. So yeah, so you guys have met. I'm trying to think of everybody who's been on the show of our staff members. You've met Ryan. You've met Kyle. You've met Jesse. You've met Jeff. You've met Joe. And me. And I think of the staff members, Steve, you're the last one that our community hasn't seen in person yet.
I believe that is correct. I have spent the majority of our years together behind the scenes on the tracks and staying out of this. But, fate had it that this worked out tonight. Ryan was sick and I was free. Daughter's in bed, so let it be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, what do you say? You wanna start tackling some of these, Steve?
Absolutely, man. Let's dive right into it.
Jump right in, head first, face first.
As long as it ain't concrete.
Yeah, right on. Yes. Oh, yeah. We're gonna get the whole cast. Actually, we're gonna do that when Criminal Idol releases. We're gonna see what we can do to have this big party where all the staff members get on here and everything, and we'll see. Maybe we can throw a whole bunch of other people in there too, artists and everything. But you know, Steve and I are the least handsome of all of the BSS members because we determined that hair length is the deciding factor for handsomeness. So Steve and I are tied for last place because we're both bald.
At least we placed.
What's that?
At least we placed.
We placed. Yes, we're tied. You and I. It's the lie in the book of Joe. Lies. Ah. All right. Fine. Fine. So anyway, all right. So I am going to run down the list of names here in the chat. If you hear your name, just give us a quick "What's up with your mama dat" in the chat, or you can do a cool emoji like this one. This is my favorite. It's the dab emoji. Yeah. Akil, I know you will shave your head. I've seen you with a shaved head. You got a good looking head, man. Should let that thing be exposed to the world. It's awesome.
Yeah, we're at this point because our bodies just quit on us, and we have no other option.
Well, it's crazy. As you get older, you start to lose the hair on top of your head. It starts coming out your nose and your ears.
Very true. I have had to deal with that recently, and it's a new awkward experience. I'm not gonna lie. Seeing when you and I both came from hair, down to our waist.
Oh yeah. We had glorious hair like Ryan.
Well, mine wasn't that glorious. It was naughty dreadlocks, if you can even imagine that. But
yeah, but that was cool, man. The dreads were cool.
it was until they get tangled up in your arm in the middle of the night, and you reach like this, and you kink your neck.
Yeah. Or you get up in the morning and you put your hand on it on your pillow and you go, yeah.
Exactly.
Go, ow! That was one of the things I got tired of.
Me too.
But all right, so I'm gonna go down the list. If you hear your name, just let us know in the chat. And yeah, so we've got Sumner Kagan, John Doe, Man Left Behind, Eric Bodine, Caffrey, Mark Anthony, Jehoshaphat, Kendra, Lux, Wandering Soul, Akil, and Lay. And there are some of you I see here. And you haven't even given a "What's up with your mama dat." Ah, there it is, Kendra. Thank you. You know the one. All right. Well, Kendra, you are first. So we'll take yours first. Princess has posted a link for us conveniently. Thanks, Princess. Oh, I forgot to mention, we got the A team in place. Production team, Jesse, Princess, and Senna. Everybody clap. Thank you. The show would not be nearly as cool without you.
Not at all.
Yes. No sleeping, Senna. I'm watching you. All right. So this is from Kendra. It's called Anxiety and Mental Health. And it goes like this. It says, hey, so I'm unable to get onto BSS.studio because my computer isn't working right now. So here's my question vent thing. I had a mental breakdown, panic attack 4 days ago. I texted my mom to come downstairs to my room and comfort me. I had written out how I felt on the paper and gave it to her after hugging her and breaking down crying. Once I calmed down a bit, my youngest brother came into my room and hugged me and told me, it's okay, Kendra, your little brother is here. You're the best big sister ever. Everything is going to be okay. As he was saying this, he's trying not to cry as well. My mom had him go to be, and then my mom recommended we gather the rest of my family in my room to talk. Then they all gathered in my room. I finally told them everything I was feeling, how I felt like I wasn't being listened to, how I felt that my dad would downplay what I say and make me feel useless. My dad didn't understand and got frustrated, saying I shouldn't have to feel that way because I am loved. That made me start to hyperventilate when I tried explaining that it wasn't something I could control. My mom stepped in and explained the best she could for me. My mom told me after everyone left that my dad is one that has to be able to fix things right away and do everything himself, and he can't fix depression and anxiety. After all that, my mom told me that I will have to get into a doctor and get a checkup and tell them what's been going on with me so that I can get some professional help. After talking to everyone, they now stop and listen to me a bit. I brought up how they are all able to talk to many people and friends nearby about what they like, but I don't have friends that are near me like they do. So, all the things I like to talk about, like anime and whatnot, is hard. I also listen back and I'm trying not to take things too personally. It's hard because the tone of someone's voice can set off my anxiety, and then I feel like I did something wrong or makes me feel like I'm not good enough. It's hard, but I'm trying. And that is from Kendra. So Kendra, I understand where you're at. I remember when I was actually my first year of college, I had a mental breakdown and had to leave school, and it was quite a big mess. I ended up in professional help for a while. So I understand that whole situation, and depression and anxiety. It's not an easy thing to go through. Also, the frustration. See, as there tends to be kind of I don't want to stereotype genders, but guys tend to want to solve problems. And when we like if I'm just talking to Steve and I have a problem, I'm telling him because I'm asking him to recommend a solution, right? And both him and I have talked about this because we're both married. And so it's like, when we talk to our wives, a lot of times they will tell us things that are wrong, but it's not because they want us to solve the problem. They're smart enough to solve it on their own. They just want to talk about it. And that's fine. Like, but we have to get out of like Mr. Fix It mode, and just allow, uh, well, Steve's probably perfect at this. I stink at it. So, but at any rate, so I totally understand where you're coming from, um, and I understand that it's really, really difficult. So, Steve, did you have any thoughts about this, or did you want me to start?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is a male mentality way of thinking. So, like, when you say my dad didn't understand and got frustrated, saying I shouldn't have to feel that way because I am loved. I can totally see my dad saying something like that. I can totally see myself saying something like that. It's taken. I mean, even in the short while that I've been married, I'm still working on it. I still instantly and instinctively want to go to like fixing that problem when I'm starting to learn that my wife doesn't want stuff fixed. She just wants to listen, wants somebody to listen, and that's so hard to do for a lot of guys. So, I'm sure your dad loves you very much, and just understand kind of where he's coming from. That's like a male ingrained thing that's really hard to get away from, and he's obviously showing signs of struggling with that.
Mhm.
And when you're in that point, it's hard to just keep your mouth shut and listen sometimes. And a lot of times that's all that's really needed. So I can totally relate, and I'm guilty of doing that myself. It's a process to change that way of thinking, and I understand after doing it myself how much that hurts people.
Mhm.
That really does a lot of damage when they just like zip it and listen and be compassionate.
Right. Yeah, I've been in that same boat so many times. I actually have to. So I've gotten to the point now where I actually ask my wife. I'm like, okay, do you want my recommendations here, or do you just want to talk? Like, because and most of the time she's like, I'm just telling you what's going on. I'm like, okay, cool. So then I know, hands off. My job then is to just listen and be encouraging and loving, basically. Like, that's it, and not fix the problem. Like, as hard as it is not to, because like I just always see the problem. I'm like, okay, well, you just do this, this, and this, and then da da da, and it's like I got to stop myself from doing that. But Kendra, if this is in any way, I remember in your last post that you had a whole lot going on. Is this somewhat related to I know you had all those assignments due, you had your thesis and you had your that whole art thing with it was, and it was supposed to be a month later, and then they said nope, it's actually a month before. Was this all related to that situation as well? If you want to post, that'd be cool. Um,
So that can be a
but
contributing, factor too. Everything that you have going on. But I did wanted to say, Joe, I like how you mentioned that you just straight up ask your wife sometime, like, hey, is this a time where you want me to listen, or is this a time when you want me to solve a problem? Maybe that's something like when you're talking to your dad about issues like that. Just tell him straight up, like, hey, I don't want you to fix this. I just want you to listen to me because I hurt
mm,
and I don't feel good, and I want to feel like you love and accept me. So just don't fix it, just listen.
mm-hmm,
And I bet you he'll just shut up and listen. But guys are simple like that. We need to be told straight on.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I see your answer there, Kendra. A little bit. You got so overwhelmed. I totally, totally can relate. One thing too that you're probably dealing with from your family is you're in that you're in that precious transitional phase in their eyes because they've known you as their little kid for your whole life, right? And now the there's you've moved on, you've graduated, you're out, you're in college, um and you're starting to handle real world problems and you're starting to deal with these issues and stuff. And so you're like really now you've kind of transitioned from being a kid to now you're an adult and you'll always be their child. But at the same time, it's like now they might still have some of that oh, I'm just uh, I need to guide you and tell you, what the right path is. I mean, I hope because my kids are still little, like I have a 8-year-old and 11-year-old right now. And I hope that when they get to where you are, that I'm able to allow them to make their own mistakes and to that I don't have to be telling them how to be doing things all the time, because that's probably another thing that's going on as well. um it can be really tough. I think it was really cool of your mom that everyone gathered in your room to listen to you. Did that help out a lot at all? I was just kind of wondering about that. And yeah. um
It did. It really did help.
okay, good, good, I'm glad. um because it sounds to me like one of the things that when I was seeking professional help. Now, he ended up prescribing medication and doing that too, but I wasn't on the medication for very long. But I was seeing him for quite a while. And the reason it was so helpful was because here was a person who listened to what I had to say and he did not judge me for anything. Like it seemed like nothing surprised him. Nothing nothing was ever going to make him upset with me. Nothing that I could do or have done in my past or anything like that. Nothing was going to be a surprise. Nothing was going to shock him, and nothing was going to make him mad. And I had spent so long trying to do things the way that I thought other people would be happy with. And that if I messed up, I would always feel super bad. And here was a guy who it's like I couldn't mess up. It didn't matter what I had done. He still was going to encourage me. He still was going to love me. He was still going to, listen and offer guidance. And he showed me that it was going to be okay. For instance, one of the things that was overwhelming for me at that point in time was I had been taught to think, okay, I need to always have health insurance and I need to always have, this is just stuff that's been ingrained into my head that I need to go to college, I need to get a degree so I can have a job and do all this stuff, and I need to have health insurance. That was always like a huge, huge important thing. And I remember I was telling him all this, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do, man, because I got so worked up at school that I had a nervous breakdown and I dropped out. And so then I was like, now I'm not in college anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm supposed to be in college. And he just sat back and he listened and he nodded his head some. He let me finish my rant, and then he said, well, I have some friends that I call them my parachute friends. And I'm like, what are those? He said, well, these are friends of mine. They just save up some money and then they find a new city they want to try out and then they just parachute in. Not like literally. They just move there. They find a place, they find a job, they start working, you know, they get by just fine. And while they're there, they live simply, so they don't spend a whole lot on extravagant things, but because what they're doing is they're saving up money so they can do the whole thing over again. And then they just parachute into another city. And then there they are, and they work and they make a living and they experience the city. They love it. They love that freedom of being able to go from place to place. And they're kind of traveling the United States in that way and living in all these different cities. And I was like, that blew my mind because I was like, people can actually do that? It's like, oh yeah. So it's not the end of the world that you're not in college right now. And I'm like, huh, that's very interesting. And I would encourage you, Kendra, um, look up the Saint Teresa of Avila prayer, the one that's let nothing disturb you, let nothing, that one, whatever that one is. I can tell you that prayer by Teresa of Avila has helped me in so many ways, especially in times like this, because what it does is it gives you the broad perspective. Right now, when you get overwhelmed, you got all this stuff going on and it piles on it, piles on it, piles on it. And just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then when you realize one of the things that's in there, yes, Princess, thank you. Let nothing disturb you, let nothing frighten you. All things are passing away. God never changes. Patience obtains all things. Whoever has God lacks nothing. God alone suffices. And the phrase in there that makes the most impact to me is all things are passing away. Because this experience you're having right now, it's not going to last forever. It's going to be done. And you're going to survive. You're going to live through it. And you're going to move on to the next stage, whatever the next stage is. It's going to bring with it its own challenges, its own rewards, and everything like that. Um, but in the meantime, while you go through this situation and having some professional help can be so important, especially at a time like this, because it's somebody that can listen without judging you and just let you talk, and they can listen and let you pour it out. So, Steve, did you have anything else?
No, I think that was really good, man. If I had to add anything, it would only be, and this may or may not, pertain to you, but for me, when I started going to counseling for the first time, professional help, whatever you want to call it, I was terrified. I'd
Mm-hmm.
never done anything like that before. I didn't want to, I kind of did, but I was like, there were so many things that were like, no, this is weird. Something's wrong with me if I go and do this. And long story short, like, no, it's totally normal. And it was a huge help in my personal life, in my marriage. And it was one of the best things I could have ever done. So
Mm.
if you feel ashamed or about it, like, don't. Because I did for a while. beat myself up over that and
Mhm.
just really shamed myself into a hole of pity me. And, it took a bit to get out of. But once I became okay with that, it was like, hey, this is okay. This is actually really helpful. I'm a lot better of a person, better of a husband and a man, than I was before. Like,
Mhm. Yep, it really makes it, and it really makes a difference. There's no shame. I remember feeling exactly the same way when I was first getting into, my dealing with professional counseling and stuff like that. And I was like, man, ah, now I'm gonna go see a psychiatrist. Oh, great, But I'm telling you, it's a beautiful thing because they're there. They know how our minds work, and they have key insights to help us understand how to navigate these things. Kendra updates us. She says, I'm at the point where I'm happy I went to college because I experienced new things and made new friends, but I regret it because my depression and anxiety got worse. With my family being home all the time, I'm not used to it because I'm used to being alone most of the time. No one would really stop and listen to me before. I found out from my mom that my aunt, who's always smiling all the time, has depression. She recommends I talk to my aunt and get some advice from her. My aunt was an EMT responder for a long time. That is a high stress job. That totally. Um, but yeah, sometimes it's amazing because sometimes the people that have the brightest disposition struggle the most with depression. Like Robin Williams, stand-up comedian, this manically depressed guy. He's so funny, but it's amazing. So one of the things that you can do with this, and Kendra, I know you're Catholic, so what you can do is this: any pain you're experiencing and this suffering that you're experiencing, you can unite it with Christ's suffering, and you can offer it as he did. You can offer it to God and pray. And those things, like, they can manifest wonderful grace in your life. And going through situations like this will make you stronger and more able to help people in the future, which I know from talking to you, Kendra, one thing that's near and dear to your heart is teaching and helping others. And going through experiences like this is only going to increase your ability and power in your ability to help other people, your ability to teach. If you're teaching other people, like if you're teaching them art, you're going to also be able to add that dimension of counseling, because every teacher, when you develop a relationship with a student, you can really, help them in not just the area of the subject, but you can also help them just navigate their life. And it can be such a great tool. So going through this is really a great opportunity for future, for your future, like growing and helping other people to grow. um so hopefully that was helpful. Steve, any final comments?
I think you said it very well.
All right, well, thank you, Kendra. You are amazing. um oh, Saiki, your boyfriend is sick. Oh yeah, Ryan. That's right, sorry. um so Kendra, you're awesome. I'm so glad you're here, and thank you so much for the topic. Um, and keep us posted as to what's going on, with everything. So it was awesome to see you. So what do you say we move on, eh?
Let's do it.
Yes, thank you, Kendra. You're awesome. Akil, you still here? I should go down the list again, actually. Ah, Akil says it's 3 a.m. for lay, please.
Ooh.
Yeah. I know. I know. All right. Well, I tell you what, Akil, for you, because you're so nice and because we've handled some of yours in the past, it's also some time of day for Akil. What time of is it for you, Akil? I know you're in like, well, it's gotta be middle of the morning or something.
Middle of the morning.
That's amazing. It's so fun because we do this show. Oh, it's 9:37. Oh, see, you just got up. All right. We'll do one of Lay's first. Lay, which one do you want us to do? You want us to do burnout or the low self-esteem one? See how late it is. Burnout. All right. So let's do the burnout one from Lay. All right. Let's see. Thanks, Princess. Princess posted the link in the chat, so click it and you can feel free to read along. All right, this is called burnout. So, this topic might be an eyesore to read through because I can't get my thoughts together. And as such, I'm sorry to whoever gets to read it. Oh, thanks. Getting into the actual topic, though, my entire problem resolves about a very specific thing: the feeling of burnout. It, of course, brings other feelings along: sorrow, despair, helplessness, anger, anxiety. But I want to focus on burnout itself. I've been through a lot, got past it, started working on myself, and well, the feeling of burnout struck. Might be because of what is going on currently. Apart from the obvious global situation, my mom was diagnosed with thyroid lymphoma just as one of her acquaintances died from it. University got really rough, relationships with people became tiresome, my anxiety spiked. So let's take the logical steps that came to my mind into consideration. What if I tried resting? Well, I did. I relaxed a lot, but I still can't set my mind into anything that was going on. Taking time off was great, but it didn't help, not in the long shot. To be honest, trying this will probably result in me dropping out of university. But even if I do, I will just try again. What if I stopped multitasking and just set my mind on one thing at a time? Well, the problem is I can't set my mind to anything. If I were to put it into an allegory, I'd drop exhausted before the race even starts. Sometimes the only way to get past something is through it. Nothing to it but to do it. And yes, with some problems, I can just push through and be fine. With problems that don't require too much attention or precision, just creativity. But basically, how does one recover from burnout? So you've got a lot going on here. My goodness. And I'm really sorry to hear about your mom and her friend and your relationships in university, everything. I'm sorry to hear that you've had some challenges. Sorry. Thanks for the apology, Lay, but no apology necessary. It was fine. But I think we got the gist of it. Steve, did you get the gist of that?
Yeah, yeah, and I can definitely relate to that burnout. Oh, it's it's a crazy thing, man, because most of the time when you're coming close to burning out, you don't realize because you've got so much stuff going through your mind. It sounds like you're a little bit like me, where your mind just never stops. Like you go to bed at night and everybody's sleeping, and you're just up, just going. Things are just they're just going. Neurons are shooting around, and connections are being made, and you can't shut it off. And then you combine that, on top of all these things going on, with your loved ones and the stresses around you, and it seems to make everyday life just harder and harder. And yeah, I remember going through a couple different bouts of really, really bad burnout, and it's so tough. It's so tough just to manage, and even you know you have to force yourself to kind of sit down and not only prioritize things, but unfortunately learn to let some things go because they're not in your control,
Mhm.
and you're just wasting energy by worrying about them. That's not give it to God. I mean, you can't. It's tough to do that, but I mean, that I've been there. It's really rough. So I feel your pain.
Mhm. Steve, did you see the message from Jesse? Is there any way you can turn yourself up a bit? Did you see that?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I
Okay,
absolutely can.
that'd be cool. So we can hear you, but it is just a little bit quiet. Um, so yeah, no, so this is interesting because coming from Steve, Steve is one of the hardest working people I have ever met in my entire life, right? I mean, the first time I met this kid, I call him a kid. He's not a kid anymore. He was a kid when I met him,
So are
right?
you?
I was what? I'm like 10 years older than you.
You were 26 when we met, and
Yeah.
I was like what 19, 18,
Oh, okay,
maybe
18.
17.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't
Okay.
remember.
Yeah, you're probably 18.
We're both
Um,
this old now.
yeah, I know. It's crazy. Well, I went backwards. I'm 19 again, actually. So you can continue getting older. I went back to 19.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, but it's crazy because the first time I met this guy, right? I pull in. He lived in Traverse City, Michigan. I had just moved there, and I was gonna work at the store, at the music store, where Steve already worked there, right? And I pull up in my little GMC Jimmy, and I had this. Hey, it is how age works, Akil. You leave me alone. Um, um, so I pull up, right, and I have all my tools for repairing band instruments, right, because that's what I did for this company. I was a band instrument repairman, and so I had all my toolboxes and tools and everything. I had all this stuff crammed in the back of my Jimmy, and I show up, and Steve's standing outside at the music store, and I pull up, and I was like, "Hey," he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "I'm the new repair guy." Um, and I'm like, "Okay." And he's like, "Well, welcome." And I was like, "Okay, thanks." And I look at him and I was like, "Hey, you want to help me move my stuff in?" He's like, "Yeah." And he
Sure.
did. He like grabbed a hold of everything. Here's an 18-year-old kid. I'm like, and he's like picking up all my stuff for me, moving it in. I moved stuff too. I didn't just make him do it all, right? But he did it, and I was like, "Wow, that's very impressive." And he helped me get everything set up and set up my bench just right and everything. And he did it. And then years later, you know, we've been through a lot of stuff together over the years. And Steve has owned a construction company and hustled that and built it to the point where he had all kinds of employees and everything like that. And he grew it to having all these employees. And he was like, forget that. That's ridiculous. And he's like, I got to do it all myself again because just having all these extra people doing whatever they want is crazy. I just rather would do it myself. And so he's handling and managing all these different construction projects around Flint, Michigan. Oh, you guys probably don't understand. Flint is it's a pretty hard city. Um,
That's the city of my birth, born and raised, though. So I'm always true to the 810.
yeah.
I gotta be.
Nice.
I'm sorry. You gotta rep my city. But a lot of my work was in the Detroit area where people had the money for, high end remodels and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting. Like when I look at Steve, I'm like, so how does this guy handle burnout? Like it seems to me like if he starts to feel burnt out, he just starts to work harder. Like does that sound about right? Or like when you get because you got some burnout when in your construction company recently, right?
Oh man. Oh yeah. I had I had lots of burnout when I was doing that, and it really was just instead of me like going, okay, I'm admitting to being burned out and I need to take some time off because, my personal life was suffering, my family's life was suffering. So I'm never home. I'm working 100 hours a week, putting out
Mhm.
fires. You got a bunch of different employees just,
Yeah.
going crazy. Instead, I did what you said. I just went at it harder and went at it harder. And then it eventually it just gets to a point where if you push it too far, like everything starts to feel like it's kind of caving in on you, and
Mm.
then you have to make a decision. You have to be willing to listen to other people in my particular instance, and just change things up. It's not always about you. I had it, like this is me, this is my company, these are my employees, these are my jobs. I'm gonna go get this and make this money. And I was doing it, but
Mhm.
I didn't have a happy wife to come home to.
Mm.
Most of the time she was in bed by the time I got home. And when I got home I was still working doing paperwork and stuff anyways.
Mhm.
So it really took a huge like life shift to for me to get out of that rut of burnout because I just kept spinning the tires even though I'm already burning out. I'm just spinning them until there's nothing left, man.
Yeah.
That is not the way you go. Before you get to that point where it's damaging your relationships and your friendships and the relationship with you and your family, like take a step back and look at your priorities. You
Mhm.
know, for me, it was I got a loving family and a wife and a daughter at home that I don't hardly see because I'm out, working
Mhm.
and running this massive giant that I didn't know would get that big. And, I made the decision personally to end it, sell it all, and go on to, something else, something where I had less control, actually,
Mhm.
working for another company. And I tell you what, I could not be happier now. Could not be happier. I don't make as much money, but when it boils down to it, it ain't about the money. I got a wonderful, loving wife to come home to, a daughter that's happy she gets to see me, you
Mhm.
know, friends that I
Mhm.
can spend time with and do things like this. Like, I couldn't ask for more.
Yeah. Yeah, but I know it was kind of a process to dismantle all that you had created there and to get to where you are now. Um,
Total breakdown, mentally and physically, for me. Yeah.
wow. Wow. So it's interesting because Lay says, okay, so I tried resting and then but that didn't seem to help. So because I've been there too. Like you can get to the point where if you just stop everything, okay, it's great to have a break, right? Especially when you're cranking, you're going so hard and there's all this stuff coming at you, and then you just stop everything. But we, if we start to get bored, I mean, it's been said the idle mind and the idle hands are the devil's workshop. That means when we start to get bored, we start to do stuff like that's probably not all that great, probably not all that virtuous. We start to self-destruct a little bit. And because we need to have something that keeps us busy, something that keeps us going. One of the things that I've found, and I can tell you this, interestingly enough, when I start to feel burned out, I guess it depends. Excuse me. From the sounds of things here, it sounds like your burnout is mental because everything that's going on, you got relationships that are tough, university got tough, you've got uh, medical issues going on in your family, there's you've got sorrow, despair, helplessness, anger, anxiety, all these kinds of things can contribute to the burnout where you just feel mentally exhausted. This is going to sound counterintuitive, okay? But I can tell you from experience. And here's another thing that you look at stereotypical between difference between men and women. Women seem to have a lock on this one, and men don't. Like when I start to feel the mental burnout, where like all this stuff mentally is just going crazy, and I'm like, Okay, yeah. Lay says, oh, certainly. I'm physically in top shape, started working out even. It's entirely my mental state in play right now. Okay, so what you're doing is the right thing to do. Start working out. I'm telling you, like you already started and keep cranking that engine. You know, you don't have to go like super duper long. You don't have to do it like all day or anything like that. But start going more strenuous if you can. Oh, sorry. Medical disclaimer. Please consult a physician before starting any exercise routine. You probably should never exercise actually anyway, and because you probably will die. Okay, there. Physical exercise disclaimer. But I'll tell you, I'm going to share my experience. When I have a day, especially like if I have a day where I'm doing property inspections and it's just a hard, stressful day, right? The stress is not physical, it's mental. It's all I'm driving, I'm in my car, I'm driving, 300 miles that day, and I'm in my car for 8.5 hours or maybe 9 hours. And I'm just drained by the time I've dealt with all kinds of people yelling at me about all kinds of stuff and, you know, all kinds of craziness. And it's just exhausting mentally. When I get done with a day like that, all I want to do is just lay down and go to bed, right? Just be like, be done with it. And maybe there are times when I do take a little bit of a nap. I'll take like a 15-minute, 20-minute nap, whatever, at the end of that, because you got to like reset a little bit. But I know very soon after I get done with that, what I need to do is something that's exercise, because that's what's going to rejuvenate me. That's what's going to clear my head. It's the weirdest thing. If you remember, Leigh, you've probably heard me talk about Hal Elrod, the author of The Miracle Morning and the author of The Miracle Equation. He says in The Miracle Morning, I think, where he was dealing with all this stress and this mental pressure, and he was absolutely burned out mentally. He was losing his house in foreclosure. His business was falling apart. Everything was just falling apart around him. And he was talking to his friend, and he's like, man, he was telling him the story, all this stuff that's going on. My company fell apart. This was back in the economic crisis of 2008, right? So his business was falling apart. His house, he was losing his house, all this stuff. And he's so stressed. And he asked his friend, he's like, man, I don't even know what to do. And his friend asked him the weirdest question. He said, so are you running? He's like, what do you mean? Am I running? Am I running from my problems? No, I'm telling you about my problems. I'm facing my problems. He's like, no, 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 not that. Are you physically running, like on a regular basis? Like, are you running? He said, no, I don't have time for that. I'm trying to keep my business together. I'm trying to keep my house from going into foreclosure. I don't have time for that. He's like, I'm telling you, start running. Take just 20 minutes a day, maybe a half an hour. Run. Yes. Katie, saves the day. It totally does. See, I told you, women have a lock on this. They know this. I had to like learn this way late in life, finally start to understand this. But yeah, like when you're dealing with all that mental stress, one of the best things you can do is exactly what you don't want to do and do some kind of strenuous exercise. Because the weirdest thing happens. You start to get this adrenaline. You start to get this dopamine rush. You start to get you get oxygen moving through your veins again. And what that does is it clears the mental fog. You're just like, okay, I'm super out of it. But then you start working out, and then by the time you're done with it, it's like, oh my gosh, okay, now I can actually think clearly enough to prioritize these things. I can put them in order, and I can start to check them off one at a time. It's no big deal now, I find out that I'm actually bigger than my problems. You get a self-confidence booster as well, because what you realize is, hey, I just did something. Huh, how cool am I? How about that? Lay says, yeah, I remember actually Elrod was the reason I dusted off my bicycle and started going for short but intense-ish rides. Yeah, absolutely. I'm telling you, short but intense is the way to go. Again, I refer you back to the medical disclaimer. Please speak to a physician before you do anything and blah, 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 blah. You probably shouldn't exercise ever anyway, but do it because it's good for you. um, Katie says, it's a hard decision to make and just do it. When you are wondering why I don't make this a priority every single day. Yeah, you do. When you're actually in it and when you do it, you're like, why don't I do this every day? But on the other side of this now, okay, now what if it's physical burnout? There's a question because Steve, I'm sure in your construction business, that's hard labor, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The majority of my burnout was actually physical more than mental. I mean, obviously, it's funny how your physicality can play into your mentality and vice
Yeah.
versa. They affect each other a lot, but mine was more physical burnout. Yes, you're correct.
Mm-hmm. And in that case, what I find is you need to take a break. I was talking about this on Double Cup of Joe this morning, actually, because I started at New Year's, I started a workout regimen, and I usually go like 8 weeks. I'll go like 8 week periods, and then I'll take a week off, and then I'll go 8 week periods. Well, I skipped that week off, and I've just been doing 8 week periods. So like I went 4 months of constant exercise regimen, right? And so then this past week, I was like, I need to take a week off. So this past week, I took a week off, right? I started today. Today was day one of the new regimen, right? But last week, I took the week off. It was great. I relaxed and I ate a bunch of junk food. Like it was great, man. I just was like, I'm going to live it up. You know, all the stuff I know that's bad for me, I'm going to do. It's going to be awesome. You know,
Got a pile
candy.
of candy over here.
I know.
Wait too.
But I gained 10 pounds in a week. It was great. So then today I started working out again. I'm like, this is ridiculous. But so, yeah. So with physical burnout, I would say, geez, you just got to stop and rest, like you were trying there, resting. But with mental anguish, with mental burnout, I'm telling you, the best thing you can do, like you already did there, is just start exercising. A lot of other things will fall into place. And then you can start prioritizing. You can start figuring out, okay, what what do I want my future to look like? You start dreaming again, right? Take a little bit of time and envision your future. That's why on Double Cup of Joe show, we have the 3-step routine. If you've never been to the Double Cup of Joe show, what we start that show every day with is, what are you thankful for? What are you looking forward to? And what are you going to do today to move your life forward? That 3-step process sets your mind in the right frame of reference because it reminds you, okay, I've got stuff in my life that's good. I've got good positive things going on. I'm thankful for these things. Yes. So now I have a positive mental outlook, right? Then you're like, what am I looking forward to? Oh, now I'm looking forward to the future. And I'm like, now I've got stuff to accomplish. I've got stuff I can do. I've got stuff I can work towards. And then the third step is, what am I doing today? Now you're in action mode and you're actually going to make your future a reality by taking action towards it. So it just sets your whole day in the right motion because you're thinking past, all right, I'm thankful for this stuff. Thinking present, what am I actually trying to look forward to? So now, okay, so sorry. you're looking forward to the future. So you got past and then future, and then you end it in the present because that's where we live. And you're like, I'm taking action, I'm doing this today. And when you start your day like that, it clears a whole bunch of stuff up. And you're like, oh, all that other stuff doesn't necessarily matter so much because I have a goal, I have something to focus on. Oh, nice. Lay says, I somehow haven't connected these before. It was just, it's music. I love music. I'm doing music. Huh. Guess it works. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. On the show, people will be like, I'm thankful, in your case, be like, I'm thankful for music. I'm looking forward to playing music. And today I'm going to play some music. So the whole 3-step routine is the same thing. Like, really? Okay. But Steve, you and I have had great conversations about, just looking forward to what the future could hold, right?
Absolutely.
How do you feel when we have a conversation like that, when we talk about that stuff?
Well, in the end, I feel motivated, inspired, and just better in general. Usually, in the beginning, I don't feel as good because the fact that we're having that conversation usually means that there's something going on with me.
No, that's not what that means. That just means that's something to do every day, man.
Yeah, you're right. It really is, but it's always ended up being a very positive, uplifting thing that I've been thankful for, especially coming from you because you got away with words, man.
Uh, well, sometimes depends on what day it is.
Days that end in Y.
Yeah, right. Um, but I think those are some things you can do, and I think dream. Now you can take that dreaming, that envisioning the future, and you can put it to anything. Like Steve and I have had conversations about this when it comes to Black Static and Swerve stuff. We've had it when it comes to playing music. We've had it when it comes to the company. We've had it when it comes to our family lives. Like what kinds of things do we want our families to look like? Because both of us have been through some struggles there, for sure. And it's like, okay, how do we fix this? What can we do to fix this? And you know, so and it always kind of starts with getting a picture for how it should be, how you want it to be. How is this supposed to be? What does it look like to live with virtue in my family? What does it look like to be successful in whatever endeavor I'm doing? What does that look like? And you start to visualize these. And let me ask you, Steve, when we have these conversations, do you feel burned out?
No, no, actually, by the end of the conversations, I feel like more energized. Really, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like once you get a direction and a purpose, kind of established mentally, like it. I don't know. It soothes you, but it gives you a drive in the same aspect. It's just like, all right, cool. Now I got the roadmap. Let's get in the car and go there and make this happen.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it can be totally energizing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Basically, how does one recover from burnout? I guess to summarize it, I would say do some exercising. You're already doing it. If you're physically burned out, take a break. Take a week off, eat a bunch of junk food, gain 10 pounds. It'll be all good. And then, that's very good. Katie, thank you. It's great to surround yourself with people that speak life into you. I would say it's essential. Teachability is key to growth. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, when people can encourage you, when people can, you know, like she says, speak life into you, like breathe that life into you. Hmm. That's absolutely a beautiful thing. And that's why it's so super important. That's exactly the point of what we try to do with this show and with Double Cup of Joe show in the morning, which is at 7 o'clock every morning, Monday through Friday. We try and do that. We've got some great folks. We got all you guys in the chat that are awesome. We're just up here on the screen saying stuff, but a lot of times we, the stuff that's going on in the chat is much more profound and much more helpful. Like Ryan and I have been here doing this show before, and we've looked out in the chat and we're like, people will type in a problem they're having, and it'll get handled in the chat before we even notice, before we even see it, before we even catch it to talk about it. Like, because you guys are so awesome. Like, you guys just, it's great. So being around people like you guys, that's a very, very much a key thing too. So yes, Princess, you're right. This community is incredible.
It's all about who you surround yourself with, man. You surround yourself with bad people, you're going to flow in that way. You surround yourself with good, positive, uplifting people, like it just compounds. The more you get together, you create like this little army. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It is sweet. And the more, and people like being around that, really. A lot of times people will play cool.
To be around a happy person than a not happy person, I mean, anybody would like that. And then if you get a bunch of them you got so many different hands reaching out to help you up, to give you that pat on the back, to grab your arm, and come on, man, we can still do this. Let's go. Like, everybody will.
That's right. That's right. Tara says, a problem we cannot solve, having no problems.
That's got a point.
That's right. I don't think the thing, Tara, I tell you, that'll never happen. Problems make this world go round. Yes. Yeah. But actually, it's funny. I went to church in Arizona this weekend.
Isn't it fun to be able to kind of do that during this crazy time?
Yeah, it was weird. I slept in on Sunday, and so I was like, oh, dang, like the live streams that all the churches in my area are no longer here. So I was like, okay, so I just got on YouTube, and, they had live masses. Like every half hour, on the half hour, a new live stream was starting, right? And so I was like, this one looks cool. Boom. And so I went to this mass in Mesa, Arizona. And the priest talked like this. He was a wonderful guy. Because he wasn't from the United States. He was from somewhere else. And he said, every problem is pregnant with an opportunity. And I was like, that's beautiful, because now I'm never, ever going to forget that. Like, I'm just visualizing a problem that's pregnant, right?
Yeah, that's definitely very, very odd, to say the least.
Yeah. But Tara, so you say a problem cannot solve, having no problems. If we had no problems, we'd have no opportunities. Or our opportunities would be severely limited anyway.
Always a different way to look at
things. Pregnant Problems with Joe. New show.
Well, on that note, I think Pregnant Problems with Joe just got canceled or postponed. What do you say we move on to our next topic?
All right. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Man, I tell you, you and Princess, you don't let me. You're like, hey, we're not gonna let Joe just go on and on ad nauseum. You guys keep me on track. I tell you.
I love you, man, but I've known you so long, I can pretty much tell you whatever I want, and vice versa.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So, Akil, I see you're still here, so we're going to do yours next. So there's no stopping us now.
I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat. I'm giving pregnancy advice now.
Nope.
Okay.
That's not what that is.
Okay, I'm pulling it together, Princess. Sorry.
All right, all right, all right. Let's see. Joas Goas. All right. Akil, your post, see, Princess posted it in the chat now. So, yeah, it's official. We're doing it. Okay. Let's see. Akil's topic is called list. And it goes like this. I am all over the place right now. I'm just trying to list and, haha, pun, trying to find opportunities within these obstacles. As I mentioned before, I'm working on creating VTubing content. A sudden urge of motivation yesterday got me finally making huge progress in my VRoid model. I was also blessed with new ideas for writing. All seemed good on a Friday as I'm excitedly waiting for the 3-day challenge on BSS to start the countdown. Yes, and it was a successful. We had I think we had 5 submissions on the 3-day challenge, which is sweet. You guys are awesome. Thank you. I wasn't prepared for what's to come. My laptop had problems after problems for the whole day. I can't work on anything and basically lost all progress made. I'm back to step 0. I took a deep breath and tried to smile as I tried to convince myself I could do better now. I know I can. I tore off a page from my notes. I'm making a new list. Later yesterday, I received a call from my close friend. He was one of the few schoolmates I'm still in touch with. He's actually one of the reasons I do look forward to coming back to my hometown, next to my family, of course. He didn't get good grades since he was absent from school due to his terrible health conditions. He was a bright person, though. I noticed it back when I helped him catch up with studies. We kind of got close because of that. He became one of my most loyal circle. He called to tell me that he's hospitalized. He is one of the high risk categories, so it's very scary to think about. Tried my best to tell him that it's going to be fine, and all we can do is wait. We will know the result in like 2 weeks. I felt listless and basically slept most of yesterday. I don't know how much energy I have to handle these now that I woke up today. My priorities are all tangled, and I don't know where to start. I'm still drained today. I just want to sleep. But I know the 3-day challenge is counting down. And yes, Princess, thank you. Akil did post a great story. So you succeeded in the 3-day challenge. So thank you, Akil. Um, and so even amongst being drained and wanting to sleep and everything, and not knowing where to start, you still accomplished that part anyway. So, um, Akil says it kind of dragged out too much. Sadly, I was burned out halfway writing, if I'm honest. That's okay. Akil, one of the things I know about you is that you have a healthy prayer life. Um, Akil, we even though we are not the same religion, we do share the same creator. And your I respect you a lot for your prayer discipline and the uh, following of the feast seasons and everything that you're doing. So one of the things that I've noticed that keeps me so much on track is is that. And I know I've mentioned it before, but not just praying, not just sitting and praying while I sit there and think, but actually like physically getting into it, like maybe even kneeling or whatever. Like there's just times when different postures can add to that effect. And I know that in moments like these, when you're having trouble, especially when you have all this stuff and you're trying to sort it out, to just stop, be silent, and then I find, maybe to spend some time actually kneeling in prayer. Maybe I light a candle, to kind of create an environment and kneel. So then I'm totally focused on prayer. Everything around me says it's time for praying. you know that to me has been super helpful in trying to prioritize. But So I'm going to turn it over to you, Steve. When you have all kinds of priorities and all that kind of stuff, what kinds of things do you do?
There's always priorities and responsibility, but I totally relate when you talk about like getting all in the groove of going for something, and then just like you get brick wall after brick wall after brick wall. Things just come up that you don't expect, you don't understand. I can't tell you how many times Joe and I went to lay tracks down and my computer started doing something funky. The plugins weren't registered. It caught fire one time, literally
Yeah.
flames, fire
Yeah.
in my father-in-law's garage. Ridiculous. Um, so I get it. And sometimes I'd sit there beating my head against the wall going, I don't get it. Why can't, like, everything is perfect and just like thing after thing after thing coming up. And then I just have to take a step back and breathe and realize, okay, you know what? It's going to move on. Things are going to continue. I didn't expect these, but I just got to slow myself down and accept them. Things are going to happen that, we don't expect and can't control and generally don't make us feel that good. Um, but it's okay. It's okay, and sometimes we just kind of have to take that as it comes. And when you get so much hitting you at once, you got to take a step back and go, okay, let me just take care of this, one on one. Let me just take a breather for a minute. And it's it's not easy. At least for me, it hasn't been. It's been a process, but it is definitely doable. It's frustrating, but you do get to a point, I promise you, where you're just like, something will come up and you're like, well, I've had that happen so much in the past that now I was kind of half expecting it when I started. So like, whatever. You'll find the good in it. You'll find the good in the bad. There's always some form of good in the bad. Sometimes it takes some hunting to find, and it may take, a little bit of time, but you'll always find something that was good out of that bad situation.
It's like problems being pregnant.
I don't know much about that, but you can ask my wife. She
So
was.
when your computer caught fire, that was a pregnancy of opportunity.
Oh yeah, it was. It must have been. It was so pregnant it exploded into an inferno.
Well, what happened as a result of that, though?
Um, I poured water on it and
Right?
had
Yeah,
to get a new computer.
right? Yeah, exactly. That was the thing. You got a new machine, right?
Yeah. And actually, now that you say it like that, like, yeah, my machine worked. It was old, but it worked. And it was okay. That happened. I was really upset and bummed, and I lost some things. But in the end, I got a way better machine, and it is even better than I could imagine. So that's the good that came out of that. It took a couple months to see that, but you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. That's probably that hard drive that caught fire. Was it a hard drive? That's probably where that version of that one tune is.
It was not the hard drive that caught fire. It was something around the BIOS and CMOS area of the
Oh,
motherboard.
okay.
I think I had a short, but the hard drives are right there next to it. So
Uh-huh.
that's got to be where that version of that tune we're looking for is.
Yeah, Steve and I are working on an album right now, and we've got a whole bunch of old stuff that we're digging through. It's like we're trying to find this one version of this one song, and we cannot find it. We're searching through all our hard drives, and it's like been so frustrating. But at
Oh
any rate,
yeah, I like this. I just seen what my wife Katie posted here. This is a great quote. Worry is essentially a down payment on a problem you may never have.
mm-hmm.
Man, that is so true.
Yes, yes, yep. It's kind of a waste, really.
It is. We feel compelled mentally, I think, or like mentally trapped sometimes to think about it because we're trying to figure out a problem or a solution to a problem that we really have no idea what we're going to do with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, you just need to not worry about it because there's some things that are just totally out of your control. This whole COVID-19 thing is totally out of our control. Yeah, it's throwing a wrench in everybody's lives, but just one recent modern example of things that are not in our control. And we can let the quarantine get to us and drive us insane to where we pull our hair out and we look like me and Joe. Or we can embrace it and go, okay, well, what can I learn from this? How can I use this time to progress my life, my spiritual life, my mental health, my physical health? Like, there's so many things we can do with it. My wife was actually telling me the other day, it's like, I think God gave us this time is like a time to just, get to know him a little more. Like, we keep saying, oh, I don't got time to go to church. I don't got time to read my Bible and do this all the time. And then all of a sudden, boom, we all got all this time. A lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
just on our hands. So that's a good point too. It's just another modern thing that we can't control that can be used for so many different good purposes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But if you spend a lot of time, like if you spend a lot of time watching a bunch of news material and stuff like that, you're gonna worry yourself right into some kind of craziness, you know. But Steve's absolutely right. We can't control it. We can't control what's going on. And I remember hearing, there was a guy. Jeez, I can't remember where I heard this, but what he was talking about made a lot of sense. We have something called a circle of concern, right? These are all the things that we're concerned about. Like, we're just like, okay, I got this to worry about, this to be concerned, not worried about necessarily, but just things that are our concerns. I gotta make enough money to feed my kids. I gotta make enough money to, buy gas. I gotta make enough money to, buy the toilet paper. I gotta go to the store to buy toilet paper. Somebody's gotta not buy all the toilet paper so I can actually buy some toilet paper. Stuff like that, right? That's your circle of concern. Your circle of influence is over here. These are all the things that you can actually do something about, right? And so many people's circle of concern and circle of influence are just like, they're way apart from each other. Like, I'm all concerned about all this stuff, but I have no way to do anything about it. So the goal is to take your circle of concern and line it up with your circle of influence.
I love that analogy.
So when you've got the stuff you're concerned about, line it up. Like, if it's not something you can do something about, then if it's really that big of a concern, then you're probably going to need to figure out how to do something about it. Or what you can do is, there are probably people who are doing something about it. And if you're so inclined and so blessed, you can give money to them to help them do what they do. And then you are influencing that concern. But if you can't do either one of those, if you don't have the time to learn how to fix the problem, and you don't have the money to help, or you don't have the time to aid them in that, then it shouldn't be in your circle of concern. So with this whole COVID-19 thing, yes, there's a lot we can't do anything about. But what we can do, there are things we can do. We can wear masks when we're out. There are things we can do that help, right? There are precautions we can take to stop spread. We do the social distancing, which frankly, I love social distancing personally because I'm an introvert, like, so I don't have to be around people, which is great. But I know that's a real challenge for some people. Some people, like, they need to be around others, in order to feel validated. But like, there are things we can do in this environment that are going to have an impact, right? So you just find what those are and make those your concerns. And then anything outside of that, it's like, I leave it in God's hands. I leave it in the world's hands. I leave it in the universe's hands. You know, however you want to describe it. But Akil, with your religious life, I know that prayer is a big part of it, and I think that can bring you a lot of peace to connect with your creator. And in fact, whether you're religious or not, I mean, I will do this. I will play this game, and it's not like this big elaborate prayer or anything, but I just sit there and I think to myself, I'm consciously connecting myself to the creator of the universe. And I sit there and I think, okay, I am connecting myself to God. I'm connecting myself to the creator of the universe. Because we all have that ability to do that. We can all do that. And when we do that, it makes all these issues seem so much smaller. Now, there was a president of the United States at one point in time. This was back in maybe the 1800s or the early 1900s, and he had a whole group of foreign leaders around, and they all came and they were all together. They were going to have this big conference thing, whatever. And he's like, okay, before we do anything, let's go outside. And it was nighttime. He said, let's go outside and we'll look up at the stars. And they just went outside and they looked at the stars. And they're like sitting there in silence, just like looking at the stars. And then after a while, he's like, okay, I think now we have the right perspective. Now we understand that the universe and the world is so much bigger than us. It's so much bigger than our problems. The world is going to continue to go around no matter what happens. And we get so focused on little things that while yes, they do need our attention and they do need our care, there are things that come across our way that are very, very important to handle. Yes. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not worth getting like super charged up about, because in essence, you're going to handle it better if you're relaxed anyway. Do you ever notice that, Steve?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're always better when you're a little more relaxed and chill. When I get worked up and tense and nervous or too excited all at once, I'm way more apt to mess something up, do something stupid that I didn't mean to do. Totally.
Mm-hmm. Yep. When you're emotionally charged up, you make mistakes. When you're emotionally charged up, you make rash decisions and you do things like, there's all kinds of weirdness that can happen. When you can be calm and focused, you will be the best at handling whatever the issue is that comes your way. Akil says, yep, I remember the time I used to sell rice. Being in business mode made me so efficient. Yeah, for sure. When you understand, okay, in the grand scheme of things, this is out of my control. It brings you such a level of peace. I had to realize that with people, like I used to get, like, if someone was mad at me, it would make me upset.
You get mad because they were mad at you.
Yeah, either that or I'd be really concerned about it. I'd be like worried about it. Either I'd be mad back, like you were just saying, or I'd be like what did I do? Like, oh no,
Either way, it gets you worked up more than you need to be.
Right, exactly. But then I started to realize, wait a minute. They might be mad at something I did, but it's their choice to be mad.
Yes. That is a choice. Being angry about something is a choice. And you can fight it. It's hard, but you can fight it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much better on the other side because you're like, I really didn't have to let that get to me. And then you start looking at those people and going, I feel bad for them because they're putting themselves through this and they don't really need to be. They're not taking it out on you personally, The whole different light comes to mind then.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now, we don't always consciously make the choice. Sometimes it's a habit that we've developed. Sometimes we just get in the habit of reacting a certain way. And then that's kind of like our default mode. I have done that so many times. It's crazy, right? And actually, at my last Taekwondo belt testing, it was so weird because it was kind of stressful anyway because it was all on computer, right? It was weird. But we did our belt testing, and it's all on we're actually on my in-laws' back porch. And we had all the laptops and iPads and stuff all set up. Me and my youngest son, we were like doing our testing at the same time, because we're both in the same level. My oldest son is a black belt now, so his testing is different. So he had a different testing time and all that stuff. But me and my youngest son, we're out on the porch, we're together, we're doing our testing at the same time, and we're sitting there on this porch, right? And so it was already kind of stressful because it was weird, right? I'm wearing shoes. I don't normally wear shoes when I do martial arts. That was weird. Just those little details. It's hot out. I'm in the sun. Usually when we do belt testing, we're in air conditioning. We have a mat that we're on. I'm not on a hard deck. There's all these things that are just like adding to my stress level, right? And I started to just like get this frustration, right? And I'm like, Ugh! And then you know what happened? We did the fit test, which is a whole bunch of push-ups, a whole bunch of sit-ups, and a whole bunch of kicking and punching combinations, like all over the place. Like you got 5 minutes to just go crazy, right? You do all this stuff, and you have 5 minutes to finish it all. And I tell you, at the end of that, I was exhausted. And I was like, ugh, and I was like breathing heavily and sweating. I was wearing my heavy white uniform. Like when you get to a certain level, they make you get a heavyweight uniform, right? And so it's like hot out, the sun's beating down on us. It's hot. And I've got this heavy uniform that you could wear in the winter and be fine, right? And but when I got done with that, I felt a lot better. And that goes back to the previous thing. If you do something physical, when you're feeling this mental, charge up, this stuff start to happen, you're starting to get tense, you're starting to get a little bit upset, starting to get to you a little bit, you're starting to lose track of your priorities. A little bit of physical exercise can do so much good. And like Little Miss Fancy said one time recently, she said it wouldn't be Joe's advice if you didn't add exercise in there. It's like, yeah, that's true. So, I don't know. What else you got, Steve? Do you like anything?
Yeah, the fact that you're all on this exercise kick now, that was it is funny because some of that comes with age. Because back when you and I first met, we ain't doing none of that.
No, there's no exercising. No, man. You're teens and early 20s.
You need that stuff, but it is crazy to see how physical activity can affect the mind and how mental activity, stress, or whatnot can affect you physically.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I had an instance recently where I had some stuff going on at work, and it was some big problems came up, and I didn't solve them the way that let's say I should have, and it caused a lot of mental stress. I was like the mental stress was so bad that I was physically drained every day when I got home. Like I was in bed by 8:30 9 o'clock at the latest for probably 3 days in a row, and not because I had worked my butt off or nothing, just because this situation was stewing in my brain and I'm thinking of all these, ridiculous scenarios that are never going to come to fruition. They're all in my head, but it's amazing how that can just totally wipe you out.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. Tara, I love some of your comments. Joe's talking about his belt testing. Me thinking about my first years with a bunch of 8-year-olds as a 17-year-old. Yeah. Yeah. I totally get it. I was with a bunch of 8-year-olds and I was like 40. I mean, I was 19. Yeah. But Tara, I tell you, if you think if you're bored when you exercise, maybe you just need maybe you need to have some kind of a different workout routine. I would recommend checking out hitacademy.com. I'll even put it in here um, in the chat. I would recommend trying that out. Oh, it looks like it didn't come as a link. Do I have to put www in here first? Something? Blah blah blah. Especially in this time of social distancing where we can't really go anywhere and do anything. I would recommend I like these guys a lot. I just started their program again. Oh, thank you, Princess. You're awesome. But you can get like they've got a whole list. If you just click on, they've got hit workouts in there. If you just go to that link where it says hit workouts, they've got all kinds of ones, different workouts you can do. They're timed and stuff. And so most of them, they're all like under 20 minutes long. And they throw a whole bunch of variety in there for you. So I never ever really get bored when I'm doing these guys' things. So we're not sponsored by them, but they've made a huge impact on me. And actually, you'll see my picture in there because I'm one of their success stories. But
Right, you're down. Yeah.
So yeah. Hey, there you go. Send some music to Steve. Totally do it.
Do it up. Send it, baby. Let's go.
Yep.
All about it. Absolutely.
So at any rate, Akil, I hope some of that was helpful for you. I know we kind of like tangented in and out and all that, it was a little bit of a flow around everything, but you know, if you're having trouble managing your priorities, I understand. I totally get it because I've been there. I am still there from time to time. But I would take some of the thoughts that I had on the previous topic when I'm like, having spending some time thinking about a dream for the future helps a lot, helps clear things up a little bit. Doing some exercises helps clear things up. And then I have to applaud you though, because you said even amongst all this, and you were like, the 3-day challenge is counting down, you still wrote a story and submitted it. You finished it, man. It was awesome. That was awesome. So anyway, that's that.
Indeed, that is that.
That is that. So let's see. Do we have any other topics in here? I mean, we're getting kind of that point where it's oh, Akil says I'm too stubborn as of now, but I'll listen to this again. I understand. That's totally cool. That's totally cool. So let's see. Okay, so we got about 20 minutes left. Honestly, I think we could you're still here. We can do that. We can just hang out with you guys. If you guys got something you want us to talk about, post it. Lay, you are still here. I am? Oh, yeah. Am I still here? I don't know. What time is it for you? That's great. So, I wanted to let you guys know, I did send the book. The Criminal Idol book is now at the printer.
Let's give a round of applause for that.
I'm happy for that. I'm so glad it's over there. So it's at the printer. Yep. It's gonna take it's gonna be now, probably, just to let you know, and I'll put a Kickstarter update on there. Probably about 12 to 14 weeks total for the production process and shipping, because it's coming from China. They're printing it in China. We're in the proofing process right now. They're gonna get all the proofs around, and then we gotta prove them, and then they're gonna print them, and then they're gonna ship them, and boom. So my guess, based on what they're telling me, and also because even though production is all set in China now, like their factories and stuff are running at full capacity, or at least this printing company, their plant is running at full capacity now. They're not experiencing any delays there, but because of COVID-19, there are freight limits and weight limits on, shipping and all that kind of stuff now. So shipping, they're finding, is taking longer than before. So, hey, we can totally do that, Lay. We can do the second one. I don't mind. Do you mind, Steve?
No, I don't mind one bit.
All right. Well, let's do it. Let's do it. Ooh, this sounds good. This is called Low Self-Esteem While Doing the Difficult Right Thing. Excuse me. All right. So, goes like this. Some time ago, I had a massive mental breakdown due to an argument with my crush. I felt bad enough I went to my big brother, despite my massive fear of talking my problems through with my family, and couldn't admit anything but help me and sobbing. Eventually, he started getting me together. Uh-oh. I think we lost Steve. What happened? Do I look funny? Look at me, man. I'm half and half. Steve. Uh-oh. I don't think he can hear me either. Something happened to his computer, I bet. Half bongo, half riff. Can I do it at the same time? Sometime. Bad timing, Steve. Hey.
Sorry
Ta-da!
about that.
What'd you do?
A little technical difficulty.
Okay. I was like,
My apologies. I see I'm getting reamed for the bad timing right now.
we embrace the awkward. Could you hear us here?
Yes.
Oh, you did. So you heard my great bongo guitaring.
I did.
Okay.
That was fantastic and slightly enlightening. Slightly sarcastic.
Yeah, that's our new hit single. Oh, by the way, a single duel. You're looking at a single duel now. This is us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. All right, let's start this topic over. I'll just read it again. And we'll go from there. All right. Some time ago, I had a massive mental breakdown due to an argument with my crush. I felt bad enough. I went to my big brother, despite my massive fear of talking my problems through with my family, and couldn't emit anything but help me in sobbing. Eventually, he started getting me together, and something weird happened. I told him everything about the situation, and he asked me, "Do you think you did anything wrong?" And I couldn't answer with anything else than buts. But I made her upset, but I broke her trust, etc. The whole conversation suddenly turned into making me admit that I did something right, and I couldn't admit that. He had to explain to me that during a certain situation, I worked with him once, I did the best out of a team of people, and it took repeating the same question, "Did you do better than others?" multiple times to get me to admit it. My self esteem is that low. Accepting the fact that I might have done something right was difficult. I just shrugged those moments off up until recently. That made me double check myself. I randomly lose my temper. My self esteem is low. I find it really hard to choose to be happy and keep needing a cause to be happy temporarily. Why do I not seek treatment? Why am I afraid of it? Why do I avoid it? That is a tremendous question. So Lay is wondering uh, why. So there's the low self-esteem part that's saying, all right, um, that you're not even acknowledging that you can do something right. That's that low point right there, right? And then the question is, why do I not seek treatment? Why am I afraid of it? Why do I avoid it? Now, are you when you say treatment, are you talking about seeing a professional therapist, um, or is that I just want to make sure that I know exactly what you're talking about when you say that. Um, so at any rate, seeing a professional, any kind of diagnosis, anything. So you're concerned about receiving a diagnosis, maybe that you don't that doesn't look all that great. Okay, for some reason, and I don't even know. All right. So Steve, did you catch it? Did you catch this topic? The
Yeah.
gist of it?
Yep.
Okay.
I got it up here. I've been thinking about it as you've been going through it there. Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, I can tell you this, Lay, I know how you feel. I don't know exactly how you feel. I'm not in your shoes right now. Um, but I know what it's like to have low self-esteem. I've been there many times, and I've been there for probably the majority of my adult life. Um, it it wasn't until recently where I started to understand that it's okay to be happy. That's okay to understand that I do things right once in a while. And that I also understand it's okay to do things wrong. That it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay not to be perfect because what's happening, I mean, even if you did stuff that was wrong with your crush, you had an argument and you said here you made her upset, you broke her trust, etc., etc. You know, those are very human things to do. We make mistakes all the time. Sometimes we make mistakes we don't even know we're making mistakes. Sometimes we're just doing stuff. We're trying to do the best we possibly can. We're trying to think of all the people we need to think about. We're trying to do what's best for those around us. And we still overlook something, or we don't do it exactly the way another person wants us to do it, or something, and we screw it up. You know what? It's okay. I know that's not the thing that's going to help get past it. But I just wanted to let you know that when it took me so long to get to the point where I was able to admit, wait a minute, I'm a person and I've got good and I've got bad. I'm not perfect. And every other person in the world has both good and bad. And we look at other people, and one of two things happens. We look at somebody and they're doing something that's wrong, and we immediately judge them, right? We do that from time to time. It's like, wait a minute. We forget that they're a person. They've got good and they've got bad. Right now, we're seeing that bad spot, right? But that doesn't mean that they're all bad. But in that moment, we only see that snapshot. And so we're like, okay, well, oh man, that person, holy cow, blah, blah. And we kind of can go off in a rant and judge them as a person based on this little moment that we see happening, right? Take that to another side, and we look at someone who's successful in where we want to be. Boy, we can put them on a pedestal. We can be like, man, they're just all good. Man, how could they ever be wrong? And then all of a sudden, we hear about some scandal. We realize that there's bad in there too. But when will we just realize that as people, we have good and bad? It's that yin and yang, right? Like you see in Oriental culture, you see the yin and the yang, the dark and the light. We have both of those inside us all the time. And so we shouldn't be surprised when one of them comes out. So starting with that, Steve.
I like the way you you said that. It's funny. It's kind of not only a mental thing, but it's like a personal thing. Even with me right now, I look at this and I'm like, my problems are a little different than yours, but the way that they happen, the way they affect the way I think and act are totally the same. Totally the same. And one thing I tend to do is like, you know, when I screw up, I'll beat myself into the ground over it, and I can be my own worst enemy. And it's really tough to not do that, to try to move forward from that. I'm terrible with that. Even if everybody else around me is over it and like totally cool, I still will continue to beat myself down because I didn't live up to my expectation of what I thought should have happened or whatever. And between you and me, hey, I'm going through stuff right now this is exactly it. It's exactly it. So you're absolutely not alone, and just please don't beat yourself up over it. You know, um, because you can be even the greatest people make terrible mistakes. I mean, all throughout the Bible, it's evident. I mean, there's look at how many of the apostles they continued to screw up left and right on big ticket items too. And but that's God had a way of showing us how to deal with that through that. And I still haven't fully learned all of that myself because, like I said, I still beat myself up over these little things when everybody else is like, dude, it's done and over, just forget about it. And I'm just like, oh, but I was so stupid. Like, man, try not to do that. If I find a way to make it easier, I will let you know, believe me. Because I am trying it too, and so far it's just school of hard knocks. Having friends like Joe that are willing to thunk me in the head repeatedly till I get it.
I don't know about that.
Verbal.
Because I'm figuring all this stuff too, man. Like
you never have it all figured out. I mean, we're all in this together. We're learning everything together, and most of the time, I feel like, did I find the way to make it work? Nope. But I found 10,000 different ways that it won't work. 10,000 ways not to do it. So you're not wrong. You just found a way that doesn't work. Pick it up, move on. Easier said than done. Believe me. Like I said, I'm there right now. I'm dragging that rock around by my ankles.
You're right. It's easy to get caught up in that trap. It's easy to get caught up in the, like you start to see all your negative aspects and you start to think that's all there is. And you forget about the good that is you.
But
And
don't think something's wrong with you because of that. Like I see at the end where you're kind of questioning stuff, like why don't I seek treatment? Why am I afraid of it? Why do I avoid it? Like those are natural human feelings.
mhm,
Like they really are. You're not like so weird or so totally the other side different. Like no, you're human. You're normal.
mhm.
You know,
Yep, you're absolutely right. Yeah, Katie, we all fall short, but we can always keep moving. You bet. Every day falling short. It's okay. When you start to come to grips with like, hey, we talked about it this morning actually. And we're actually tomorrow morning, so in like 8 hours from now, Joe and I are going to be on. So
double cup
uh
of Joe.
yeah, the Double Cup of Joe show will be on. This is the Double Cup of Bald show right now. Tomorrow is Double Cup of Joe show. We'll be on, and we're talking actually about something that this flows right into, and it's because we're talking about the checking step of like when you have a plan, you take action, and then you check your results so you can make adjustments to it, right? So then you can make adjustments and try again more. So the aspect we're looking in tomorrow is how to understand that you're not perfect. When you do something and then you check the results, the whole reason you're checking those results is because you're looking for the things that you could do better. So of course there's going to be stuff wrong with it because you want to find those corrections, right? And really, frankly, if you if you did everything right all the time, there'd be no room for you to grow anymore. There'd be no way for you to get better. And so you can think in terms of here is you can be like, hey, I've got room to grow just like everybody else. We're all here on this planet, like hurtling through space at a million miles an hour. And we're kind of all in this same soup together. And I know sometimes, like, why do I not seek treatment? Why am I afraid of it? Why do I avoid it? Sometimes we don't want the diagnosis. We don't want somebody to tell us the thing that we're wrong, that's wrong. But every experience I've had, and you might be able to attest to this too, Steve, with professional counseling or professional treatment like that, is even though they may find a diagnosis or a problem, when you get that diagnosis, it's enlightening because you're like, oh. And part of it is they wrap it in a way that makes you understand, you know what? You're a real human being. Other people struggle with this stuff just like you. Other people have this problem just like you. And you know what? Here's the things that they did to get out of it. So they give you a pathway out and they help you understand that you're not a bad person because of this. And what you said, I think you quoted Ryan, you said the person inside you, you don't want to be in a bad relationship with the person you have inside you, right? That's very true. Lay, you also said, speaking of the Bible, certainly I find comfort knowing that Jesus forgave even the people who crucified him. Father, forgive them for not what they were doing. Absolutely. Forgiveness is going to be key here. I'm glad you brought that up, Lay, because this is going to be one of the biggest things you're going to learn in life, and is how to forgive yourself. I can forgive other people way easier than I can forgive myself.
Agreed, 100%.
And part of the reason I think, I said this before on a Don't Worry Wednesday, where when you have somebody that does something wrong and you have somebody that they have wronged, right? You've got two people, right? One person repents and the other person forgives, right? So the equation is repentance and forgiveness. Now, the person who did the thing that's wrong, their pathway to healing is the repentance. They feel genuinely sorry about it. They try to make reparation, right? That's their pathway. That's how they heal from the offense. The person who was offended, the way they heal is through the forgiveness. They forgive and then they experience the healing, right? Now, if we need to forgive ourselves, maybe it's appropriate to also repent. So then both sides of the equation are met. So yeah, if there's something you did wrong, fine. Understand you did something wrong. It's okay. It's okay to feel guilty. That's the natural response for when we do something wrong. Okay? Now, can you say you're sorry? I mean, honestly, rather than beating yourself up over it, sometimes the best thing you can do is just say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did that. And maybe you need to say it to yourself. Not necessarily the other person, but say it to yourself. Say, I'm so sorry I did that. I really am so sorry that I did that. Say, you can say it to God. I'm so sorry that that happened. Now you've healed the aspect of the offender. And maybe that's the key to unlocking the forgiveness that you need to experience as well. Because if you need to forgive yourself for something, that means you did something that you're upset about. So maybe you need to say, I'm sorry. And then you can say, I forgive you. And then from there, you kind of get a double dose of the healing. And from there, you can grow and experience the change and everything like that. But do not be afraid to seek the treatment. Do not be afraid to seek help. They in every experience I've ever had, they've been super nice and attentive, and they've listened, and they've wanted to genuinely help. So don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. It's okay. And also, remember, we love you here. You're always safe to come here. This is a place where we're not going to judge you for the things you do wrong. We've had all kinds of people with all kinds of issues where they've done all kinds of different things. And we do everything we can to create a safe environment where you guys, no matter what it is, God's not surprised. Why should we be? We're not God, but at the same time, we want to try to be his ambassadors here, you know? So if we can do anything, it's to just offer an environment where you can be who you are. And Steve, did you have anything else?
Just love, man. That was just it.
Just the love.
you know, and sometimes all you need is, somebody to talk to, somebody to chat with.
Mm-hmm.
It can be as simple as that. I can't tell you how many times, Joe has personally helped me with things like that. So, like, that's why we have this community here. That's one of the big, things that we focus on in Black Static and Swerve is the community, and not only just having people be a part of this, but in developing ourselves in this community. And we're here to help one another.
Mm-hmm.
If you need something, man, just reach out, just ask, shoot a text, send chat, email, whatever. We got 1,000 different ways to contact any of us.
Mm-hmm.
Any one of us, I guarantee at any point in time, would be more than happy to help anybody through, stuff that they got going on. even if you just need to blow off some steam. I mean, I call Joe all the time just to blow off some steam. We'll talk for an hour. He won't say but 3 words because I'm just blowing off, I'm just getting my head back level. But at the end, I feel good. And, we want to be there for other people like that. So
Yep.
it's always feel free to reach out. You know, I think that's real important to keep this, tight knit but open and honest, community. That hey, we're all in this life together, man. We got one shot, and we all are in the same boat. We're all making mistakes. We're all making, some decisions that are good, and like we're just trying to figure out where to go next. So like, don't be afraid to ask for help or advice or anything, man. That's why we're here. That's why we love you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I see you guys communicate with each other as well. I know Princess has been a person that, she has helped other people as well. Senna has helped other people. I mean, you guys are helping each other, while you're here. I know Lay, you and Akil have corresponded back and forth. I'm sure, like all of these things, you guys, it's not just us, it's you guys as well. Like the most amazing thing about this community is the love that's here. Like Steve was just talking about, you know, a lot of that has to do with, I would say, with just the culture that Ryan started long and long ago. He loves, I think of anybody I know, Ryan has this love inside him that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And I know he's not here to hear me say that. He's sick. Hopefully he's sleeping so he can get better. Because doggone it, he's gonna be here on Wednesday. This is crazy. And I gotta say, I gotta give massive props to Steve, that guy, because seriously, Ryan sent a text message like a half an hour before we were supposed to be on camera, and he said, "Hey, I'm sick. I'm not gonna make it." And so I sent a text out to everybody on staff at BSS, and I was like, "Hey, Ryan's sick. He can't do Don't Worry Wednesday. Is there anybody that can make it?" And Steve was like, I think I can make it. I've never been on before, but I can do it." I was like, yes, dude, that's awesome. Because we've had Jeff on Don't Worry Wednesday. We've had Joe on Don't Worry Wednesday. Kyle has been on Don't Worry Wednesday. Jesse's been on Don't Worry Wednesday. Ryan and me, obviously. And of the staff members at BSS, Steve was the last one who hasn't been on. And so now you guys get to meet the wondrous Steve Nichols, who, he does exist. I've talked about him I've mentioned him a bunch of times, and especially in the chat after Double Cup of Joe, because his guitar solo just rocks in that song in Message to Pop Culture. This guy is the master of the one note guitar solo. He can take one note and just pour every ounce of his soul into it. Like, and it's like, oh, wow. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Joe. You are extremely flattering.
Dude,
And
you're an extremely good guitar player. Like,
thank you.
It's all just truth.
I appreciate that. That kind of came from a band director I had back in middle school and high school. Always told me something I'll never forget as a musician. You don't have to play a lot of notes, just the right ones. And that doesn't mean a lot. There's some times where it calls to just rip it up and, shred your way through it and sweep it out the door, baby. But there's sometimes where you just get that one note and you just make it sing. You make it sing. Oh.
And as you will learn when we release some of these new songs, we will be releasing an instrumental album here in the next couple months. You will find out that if you're Steve, you can make the wrong note sing. And it still sounds amazing. Yeah.
This is true. One thing we like to keep true to is when you get a certain passion or vibe in a track when you're laying down a solo. Sometimes you get wrong notes because it's called improvisation. I
Yeah,
don't know
it's
what I'm gonna play.
beautiful.
We don't know what we're gonna play. We make up this stuff as like Joe and I get together and we just go 1, 2, 3, hit it, and we just start playing. And what comes out comes out. And by the grace of God, it's mostly been fantastic. But yeah, you can still make the wrong notes good
Mm-hmm.
if you. I don't know if you got the right soul behind it, the right but I'm so excited for you guys to hear this album that'll be out in a couple months. It is.
Yeah,
It's been a long time coming. This is.
it's fun. It's gonna be good. So anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for this episode. I really appreciate you guys being here. Special thanks to Jesse turning us on and off again. Special thanks to Princess keeping us on track. Special thanks to Senna being there in the chat, helping you guys out. And very, very special thanks to Steve for jumping in last minute with no preparation. And it was just like, okay, I'll try. It says a lot. Like this guy, he's just that type of personality. He's like, I'll do it. I'll just do it. And he just does it.
Believe me, I was nervous. You know, I don't do the podcast thing all the time, even though we've been involved in it as a company for a while. And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of people that are actually watching this. Like, this is real people really watching people.
That's right.
But sometimes you just gotta buckle down and go, you know what? Yeah, I'm scared half to death. What the heck? Let's jump. Let's do it. So I'm thankful that you guys give me the opportunity to sit in for Ryan, and hopefully he will be back to good health soon.
Yes, he will. I can tell. I feel it. I can feel it in my nuggets. What movie is that from?
Ooh.
Put it in the chat or the comments. I know. I can feel it in my nuggets.
I don't know, but things just got kind of awkward.
Yes. On that note, we're going to leave. You guys have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Double Cup of Joe show. Be there at 7 a.m. I'll be there. Yeah. Joe will be there. Steve will probably be at work.
I will be.
Or on his way there or something. One of the two. But all right. See you guys next time. Love you guys.
You guys have a great evening or morning.